Hello everyone, I'm Jimmy, and this is the Richest Players in Runescapes History, the full series. So we're going to look at all 15 accounts featured throughout the past few years on my channel. Without further ado, I really hope you enjoy. This is Ultimate Low, an Ultimate Ironman account. And for an account with these kind of self-imposed restrictions, he has managed to build up an insane net worth, currently sitting at 7.2 billion GP. Now of course, this is a lot lower than some of the other accounts that you're seeing in this video, but for an Ultimate Ironman, this is really crazy stuff. He's taken things to the next level, and I think he needs to be applauded for doing so. mmorpg RS. He is an Oldschool Runescape YouTuber and Twitch streamer, and he has won 2 Golden Gnome Awards in his Runescape career. In 2017, he got maximum total level on his Ironman account, and that very account is the one we'll be looking at in this video. So, he regularly posts a yearly bank video on his YouTube channel, showing off his wealth, and we will be looking at his most recent bank video, which is currently the biggest Ironman bank that we know of on OSRS so far. As he's scrolling through, you can see the massive collections that he has managed to amass on this character through years and years of slaying, bossing, minigames, clue scrolls, and all of that while streaming to thousands of viewers on Twitch. And this level of dedication to the game generates exceedingly large amounts of wealth, has managed to make him the richest Ironman in OSRS, or at least the richest that we know of that's actually willing to show off their bank in a video. So, in a couple of seconds, we'll move towards the final main tab of the bank, and we can see he's worth 25 billion GP, which is absolutely insane for an IM account. I mean, me personally, I have about 25 times less than that on my normal unrestricted account. Okay, and next up is Alcan RS, also known as Number 1 Boss and Gains. Now he is a Canadian content creator and is also very popular on YouTube and Twitch. He is extremely dedicated to the game and has managed to max multiple accounts on both RuneScape 3 and OSRS. But for the purposes of this video, we will be focusing on his hardcore Ironman, Number 1 Base, or Bass. We'll go with Base. Now this account, of course, has 2277 total level, the max in Oldschool Runescape, with 475 million total XP, and currently rank 3 in the overall high scores. And what we'll be looking at here is his recent bank video posted to his YouTube channel, where he's showing off 10 billion GP on his hardcore Ironman, an extremely impressive amount of wealth that he's managed to acquire, whilst getting the max possible total level in a pretty short amount of time, becoming rank 3 on the high scores, and also running a YouTube channel and streaming live on Twitch. It really goes to show what you can achieve if you put the hours in. And as an added little bonus here, we'll also be taking a quick look at one of his other accounts, a regular Ironman, who also has a 10 billion GP bank, putting him at 20 billion total over 2 very restricted accounts. Awesome to see. And next up is Odablock, a well-known OSRS Twitch streamer and YouTuber, who's also seen his fair share of controversy, even once causing a riot in Falador. Now, he's made most of his money through staking, traditionally at the Jewel Arena when it existed, but these days, of course, it comes down to dueling to the death at the Grand Exchange instead. So, in this clip here, taken from one of his videos from a few months back, we can see he had a bank value of 123 billion GP. Now this was after a very good run of winning stake after stake after stake, managed to get him to the highest net worth that we've ever seen on video from Odablock. Now, of course, he doesn't have this amount now. I think he's down to 20 or 30 bill, it could possibly be even less, which just goes to show you the risks involved in that kind of high stakes, high roller dueling. But of course, they do it all for fun, and potentially a minor gambling addiction, but hey, that's a conversation for another day. So that 123 bill OSRS would have been worth roughly 920 billion on RuneScape 3, or the equivalent of $27,000 on the black market. And I don't think anyone could have been happier than Odablock himself.
but that's, like, I have to, you know, like, that is a crazy feeling, bro.
So, next up is a player named Matt123, and this is actually a combination of OSRS and Runescape free accounts. Firstly, his bank on Oldschool Runescape that we're looking at now, all of the most expensive items in the game, plus a very large platinum token stack at the top left. The net worth of Matt's OSRS account is roughly 101 billion GP, and of course, as already mentioned, he also has a very rich account on Runescape Free. Unfortunately, we don't have any screenshots of said account, but we do have a little bit of information here, which I've underlined in red, and it reads, he has 24 party hats valued at 70 billion apiece in RS3. So this was written a little while back, so we can safely assume that these are blue party hats, and as we know, these are now currently worth 80 billion each, which calculates to over 1.9 trillion RS3 GP, plus the 100 bill on OSRS? Yeah, he's not doing too bad. For the next one, we head back on over to RS3, and this is Bushy34. And this same account was actually featured in a Makeroo RS video here on YouTube a couple of years back. So Bushy here was showing off his massive collection of rare holiday items, and this is just tab number 1. As we move on over to the second tab, you can see he has even more sitting here, and I think this is actually where the vast majority of his wealth is. So let's calculate it all together. Everything from tab number 1 comes to 173 billion GP, and for tab number 2, firstly we have 12 white party hats sitting at 63.5 billion each, 3 blue party hats sitting at 80 billion each, plus the Christmas cracker and the max stack of shards, brings us to a total of 1.2 trillion GP, or the equivalent of $36,000 on the black market. Brand Sales, the owner of a very large swapping shop and also an ex-Flower game host from back in the day. And both the hosting and the swapping has led to him building an enormous bank on RuneScape Free, which we're going to look at today. Not only are there a ton of green item stacks on the first and second row, but he also has 5 party hats, one of which being a blue party hat, which is currently worth 80 billion GP in RuneScape Free, and also a Christmas cracker, the most expensive item in RS3, currently sitting at 117 bill alone. So once the prices of all of these rares and huge collections have been totaled together using le.gg for accurate street prices, we come to a figure of roughly 470 billion GP, which is currently worth around $14,000 on the black market. And Sparkmac. Of course, Sparky doesn't need too much of an introduction, you all know him, and he is actually one of the very first RuneScape YouTubers, along with Chris Archie. They both started their channels way back in 2006, which was actually a whole 17 years ago. Damn, makes me feel old, man. So, we'll be looking at his bank video, which was posted back in 2019, and is probably the most impressive and most well organised, huge bank you will ever see in OSRS. Some of these collections almost make it look like a private server, but I can assure you, this is not a private server. This is real RuneScape, and Tim has just gone to absolutely insane levels of item collection, and this here, the Rune tab, is one of my favourite sites in the game. A fairly nerdy thing to say, I'm sure, but hey, those pixels look pretty good. And moving back to the main tab, where the majority of his wealth sits, you can see there all of his third age, the platinum tokens, and tons more. When this was posted in 2019, it was worth roughly 176 billion GP, but to account for inflation, now in 2023, it would be worth roughly 235 billion GP. And next up is a 2-for-1. 2 OSRS accounts owned by the same person who both carry a vast amount of wealth, and it's really quite incredible to see the amount of money that people used to make from high roller staking in the old jewel arena. And we begin with God Faden, who has 2 Arcanes, 2 Elysians, a couple of sets of third age, a couple of God Swords, a max cash stack, and 100 billion GP in platinum tokens. So even on its own, this would be enough, you know. What more do you need than 100 bill? But of course, as you already know, I mentioned this is a 2-for-1, so the same person that owns this account also has his main character, BTC, which you may have seen before in a previous video. Now, from what I've read, the majority of this wealth has come solely from staking in the Duel Arena, when it still existed, and of course everyone knows about the kind of huge profits people were making there, but of course most people end up losing their whole bank before they get to this level of wealth. I don't know if he's unlocked the key secret method to winning every single stake, or whether he's just got lucky, or maybe by now he has lost it all. I guess we'll never know. So, to summarise, the net worth of Godfaden is roughly 105 billion GP, and for his main, BTCs, it's around 116 billion GP. So the total, 221 billion OSRS GP. Wow. Beat it down. Now, this bank has featured in one of my previous videos from a few years back. I got a few details wrong, and I wanted to clear that up here in this video, and make sure I have the correct facts and information. So, this video was actually posted to YouTube in 2016. Now before, in the previous video, I said that it was 2014, which was only 1 year after Oldschool Runescape's release, which would have just been very, very improbable, practically impossible for someone to have a bank like this, with these sort of collections and items from various bosses throughout the game. And yeah, as you can see, as you've been scrolling through the tabs, it's really impressive collection, and an insanely high amount of GP, even for 2016. It's estimated that Beat It Down had around 17 to 18 billion GP in 2016, and also had a second character with around 4 billion GP, putting the total at 21 billion, but 6.5 years ago, it would be worth roughly 85 to 90 billion in today's economy. It was extremely impressive to see the kind of collections that she managed to build up on her account. The wealth that she had back then is worth a hell of a lot more nowadays, and in this video we're going to work out exactly how much. So, as I already mentioned, she used to post a lot of videos here onto YouTube 15 years ago, way back in 2007, the early days of YouTube really, and also RuneScape in many ways. Of course it was still a popular game back then, but not the household name like it is today. Anyway, she posted videos like this one, showing off huge collections of rares. In this one we can see 1042 Santa hats, which is just insane, bearing in mind less than 1% of the player base even had one Santa hat in their bank. We can also see here that she has 6 max cash stacks in the Grand Exchange, 2,147,000,000 each. Yeah, pretty crazy. If you had 10 mil or 20 mil in 07, you were considered pretty wealthy, but she took things to a whole different level. So now just quickly looking back at some of these screenshots I showed earlier on in the video, and it should already give you a pretty good idea of just how much she's going to be worth, but some of you may be very surprised to see how much these rares have risen in the last few years. Now if you remember, I said she was worth 170 billion back in 2007, and that's still a massive amount of money in today's RS3 economy. But with a massive recent increase in the price of rares, she is worth a hell of a lot more than that. So, using this list from the RuneScape wiki, which shows all of the items that Chessie owned at once, we're going to calculate how much she is worth in today's prices. So, let's add everything together. We got the Santas, the party hats, the Bandos armor, the God swords, the Barrows armor, the max cash stacks, and the Halloween masks. All of that added together equals 6.76 trillion GP. So, pretty crazy amount of money. And how much would this cost you on the black market? Well, the prices of RuneScape free gold have really plummeted in the last few years. It's only worth 7 cents USD per million GP, but with this amount, it's still going to cost you a hell of a lot of money. If you wanted to buy 6.76 trillion GP, it would cost you $473,200. And that's on the black market, so that's the cheaper one. If you wanted to buy it the legit way, through bonds, they are currently 45.4 million GP each, so you would actually need to buy a staggering 148,899 bonds for that much gold. They're currently $6.99 each, so times that by the number above, and you get $1,040,804. Yeah, I don't think anyone's doing that anytime soon. So, this guy is named Twilight Ash, and there's a few screenshots of his wealth. As we can see here, 1.6k Amulet of Furies. Here is a ton of rares being traded, a lot of third age, some Christmas crackers, and some half full wine jugs, plus a lot more. Crazy amounts of wealth, and as we can see here, he's doing a price check on himself, and he's worth 2.2 trillion RSGP. Now that is a hefty amount, and it was actually confirmed by Mod Infinity that it's legit, also confirmed by Mod Balance and Mod Selfie that there is no glitches or bug abuse involved. Yeah, pretty incredible. Next up, we're featuring a player who I'm sure most of you know already, Fishy, and he's also featured in some of my other videos. He also posts his own videos quite often on his own YouTube channel, and other people have featured him in their own videos, some of which negative, some of which positive. But anyway, this one is featuring a bank that has been confirmed by Jagex moderators as real, so that's why I'm featuring it here, as I don't really like any of the fake shit either. But as this one has been confirmed, then I think we're pretty safe to say that I can feature it here, and you guys can just gawp and gaze and be envious of this motherfucker who has crazy collection. Just look at this tab, all the armor. Yeah, this is most people's dream, you know. Most people would love to have this kind of stuff in RuneScape, but seeing as most people don't have that kind of wealth in RuneScape, then this is probably the closest you're gonna get. Anyway, let's have a look at this next tab now, which is showing off all of his third age, 30 Dragon Warhammers, 42 full Dragon Helms, 86 Dragon Fire Shields. Yeah, just not much else to say really, you know. And the final tab here being the most impressive of all, with 47 Elysian Shields, 113 Spectral, 132 Arcanes. Wow, that's insane. And not to mention the huge stack of tokens, 53 million tokens, being 53 bill. Yeah, pretty incredible. And I'd also just like to mention that I do realise this is quite a controversial character in the old school RuneScape scene, so if any of you have got any comments that you'd like to share about Fishy, whether you think it's real or fake, then let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, again, this video was uploaded in 2017, and was worth 150,000 back then, but now with the current prices, I'd say it's roughly $50,000. We will be looking at his bank, more so his collection of rares, which is absolutely huge, as you will see, and we will work out how much everything is worth in today's prices. So we begin with a screenshot from RuneScape Classic, and this is where Moltronex's addiction for collecting rares began. As you can see in this screenshot here, he already has all of the 6 different party hats. Of course, they were worth considerably less in RuneScape Classic than they are now, but they were still a very high value item. And now we move on over to the current game, RuneScape 3, and you can see just how much he has increased his collection of party hats. He has 49 blues, 51 purples, 72 reds, 108 greens, 106 yellows, and 37 white party hats. Also, down at the bottom there in this tab, he also has 34 Christmas crackers, currently the most expensive rare item in RuneScape 3. So, add all of that together, 49 blues, 51 purples, 72 reds, 108 greens, 106 yellows, 37 whites, 34 crackers, equals 31.3 trillion GP. So that is a pretty astounding number that most of us can't even comprehend. So now I'm going to work out how much this would be worth if you sold it on the black market. 6 cents per million GP, but either way, it's still going to add up to a lot when you have 31.3 trill. And that amount is $1,878,000 US. Jesus Christ, man. But it's not like he would ever be able to actually sell that amount of gold without getting his account banned. The number 1 spot, the final account I'm featuring, and the new richest player in OSRS is BTC's And this is actually the old screenshot of his wealth that I featured in my previous video, the 5 richest people in Oldschool Runescape's history. But as can be seen in this video here, which was uploaded to BTC's YouTube channel on October 8th, his net worth is now an insane amount higher than it was 1 year ago. 704 billion OSRS GP is almost exactly 3 times the value of Sparkmax Bank at the time of featuring him in the last episode. As you can imagine, when I saw this upload from BTC's, I was pretty shocked, or you could say pleasantly surprised, to see just how much he had increased his bank value. And then, to my astonishment, he showed even more. The first ever 1 trillion bank in Oldschool RS. But don't get too excited, it's a little less than 1 trillion, not that that makes it any less impressive. A few extra Elysians, claws and pieces of Torva, but the main difference between what we've just seen in his video and what we're looking at now is the platinum token stack, which has increased from 510 to 695 million tokens, or 695 billion OSRS GP. So his total net worth of 909 bill would be worth 8.2 trillion on RuneScape 3, or the equivalent of $210,000. Wow. But unfortunately for him, he has had this account permanently banned by Jargex, and to no surprise, the reason given was real-world trading. But BTC's maintains his innocence, as explained in this Twitter post, and also in his video, which I will link in the description down below. So, there you have it, and I really hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure to leave a like down below if you did, and let me know which account you found most interesting. Next is a project that I've been working on for quite a while now, so subscribe and stay tuned for that video, coming very soon. Thank you very much for watching, take care and have a great day.